TNA fans, J-Dub is calling you out. You want to call me a WWE mark, you want to call me a TNA hater, want to call me a TNA basher, all of that stuff, whatever. Let's actually talk about some facts and some figures. If you want to. You all wanted a debate, you got one. Let's go. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. This video is basically going to serve as my thoughts on TNA, the good and the bad, and yeah. Hopefully you guys, if you want to debate with me down in the comment section below, I'll gladly debate with you. If you want to make a video response, that would be absolutely excellent, and they'll be automatically approved just for anybody wanting to do that. But yeah, these are in no particular order. I'm going to start off with the bad things. That's just it's me. First thing I'm going to talk about: TNA has too many wrestlers. We've seen for a string of weeks in a row, consecutively. The week prior, TNA had somebody debuting, new debuting. The next week, TNA had somebody new debuting, and the week after that, TNA had somebody new debuting. That gets to be overkill, and it takes off the importance of what a debut, can be, and seeing as what they do when they finally get those wrestlers in their company, they have them on TV for about 2 or 3 weeks, then they totally disappear, and you don't see them for a while. They fade right into the background. And, yeah, this also causes a lot of problems because a lot of people say TNA pay-per-views are overbooked. They always have 8 or 9 matches on the pay-per-view card. That's too many matches. And, yeah, another problem that causes, you try to fit everybody onto the show, and then some people end up being left out. Where the hell are Motor City Machine Guns? Where the hell are Lethal Consequences? Hell, where the hell is the whole X Division? They're featuring the X Division champion, Samoa Joe, and his feuds or whatever, but the rest of the X Division is totally gone. Ever since Samoa Joe made the move over to the X Division, it's been... Well, it was dying before that. It's not dead, I will say that, but it was dying before that. My next problem with TNA, the Main Event Mafia. I haven't been a fan of the Main Event Mafia at all in their whole stint in TNA ever since they were introduced October of 2008, I believe. I haven't been a fan of them because basically they were a Trojan horse. And what a Trojan horse is, if you don't know what a Trojan horse is, it's basically when the intent of an action is different from what you're told. Somebody can tell you, oh, can I come in your house so I can use your phone? I need to call, a ride or something. They come in your house and they steal all your shit. So basically it's their intent was different from what they told you. And we were told that the Main Event Mafia was going to come in TNA. They were going to put over the young talent. They were going to, do all of this good stuff. I have 2 problems with that. One, they weren't putting over any young talent because all they wanted to be was glory hogs. They wanted to be attention whores. They wanted to be, fame seekers. They wanted to get good on their last couple of minutes of their 15 minutes of fame. They knew they're about to go on to retirement. So, yeah, that's what they have, the Main Event Mafia, with all of the championships, all of these old guys, and as good as Kurt Angle is, you cannot deny his prime is past him. And, yeah, and my second problem with that is, how in the hell can you come into TNA and tell me that a has-been like Kevin Nash, a has-been like Scott Steiner is going to put over somebody like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, or Christopher Daniels? TNA is their friggin' house. How can you have these has-beens coming into TNA saying, you know what, we're going to be working to put you guys over? They didn't need putting over in the first place. They were already over with the crowd. They were already the superstars of TNA. How in the hell can you come in their house and put them over? It was just a way for the it was actually opposite of that. That was just a way for the stars of TNA to put the Main Event Mafia over. That's what the Main Event Mafia was for. And just continuing on with this thread of the Main Event Mafia, another problem that I have with TNA, lack of storytelling in matches. I'm not bashing the wrestlers. This is more of a problem with the creative team. They don't know how to tell a story in the ring. That's why you have the Main Event Mafia in 5, 6 skits, 6 backstage skits in one night. This is your typical episode of Impact. You go to Impact comes on, you have a match, then you have a backstage skit, then you go to commercial, you come back from commercial, you have another backstage skit, you go to another match, you have another skit, then you go to another commercial, then you have another skit. Hopefully you guys get the point. They don't know how to tell a story in the ring, and maybe they don't know how to tell a story in the ring because the matches are so short. This is my next point. Lack of in-ring time. TNA, they have very short. Oh, and I'll also say, for the people that bash WWE for their promos, you will never see Randy Orton, John Cena, CM Punk, anybody like that in 5-6 skits in one night. They know how to tell a story in the ring. So you may bash WWE for that, but give them credit where it's due. Lack of in-ring time. It's totally screwed up. If you could have a 2-hour show compete with a 1-hour show on wrestling time, like even if TNA beats ECW with actual in-ring time, like if they have 35 minutes of wrestling on TNA and they have 25 minutes of wrestling on ECW, that's still a problem, because ECW is a 60-minute show, TNA is a 2-hour show. And well, people would say, oh, well, they're short matches, but at least they're good matches. No, there's no at least, because if you could put on a great quality match, that just leaves stuff to the imagination. Like if you put on AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels, that match is 5-6 minutes. Hell, it could be a good match, but it's not going to be an excellent match, because you're going to be always wanting more. You're going to be always wanting more. So, yeah, those are my problems with TNA. Good things about TNA. AJ Styles finally becoming a TNA World Champion. He hasn't been a World Champion in TNA since 2005, and that was the NWA World Championship. 4 years without a heavyweight championship. That's an absolute travesty. When he's supposed to be the face of TNA. He's supposed to be the face of TNA. When you think of TNA, AJ Styles is the first one that is supposed to come to mind. And he hasn't had a world championship in 4 years? That shit is absolutely crazy. So, you know what, TNA fans? You should actually be thanking J-Dub for AJ Styles getting a world championship, because I was one of the most vocal on YouTube about AJ Styles winning a world championship, getting a world championship. And you know what? You know, I pitched a bitch about it, and I'm not even a TNA fan. And you know what? Lord knows you didn't say anything about it to all you TNA fans, because you don't give a damn. Like, everything TNA does is golden. And that's another problem that I have with TNA. It's the TNA fans. You don't criticize TNA on anything. So basically, it's like whatever they do in the ring. You know, they say you all would like to say TNA listens to the fans. Why don't you start talking, man? Why don't you start talking? Let some of your issues be known. You can still be a fan of something and criticize it. You don't automatically become a hater just because you have a criticism of something. That's one thing that you guys need to understand. So, yeah. Gonna move on to my next thing that I like about TNA. Dixie Carter finally taking charge in TNA. I've been a critic of Dixie Carter, saying it seemed like she has a weak personality. She wasn't too interested in the wrestling side of TNA. Like, there's a wrestling side, then there's also a business side. She was in the day-to-day running of the business side, wasn't too interactive with the wrestling side, but now she's increased her activity in the actual wrestling side, and I'm liking that. You know, I want to see where this goes, because, you know, we have to face the facts. Jeff Jarrett is not the Vince McMahon of TNA. Dixie Carter is. It's her responsibility. She calls the shots. She has the final say, and I think she really needs to step up, and I'm glad that she actually did, and is becoming and she's becoming that boss that TNA surely needs. Another thing that I like about TNA, the knockouts. I've criticized them in the past before, saying that they didn't have the looks or whatever that the WWE Divas did. Well, they make up for that in the actual wrestling department, and they are wrestlers, so they need to know how to wrestle. So, yeah, I go into knockouts matches, and I don't look at this like, oh, it's a women's match, so I have to go in with lower expectations. You know, I don't even think of it like, oh, this is a women's match. You know, I just watch it for what it is, wrestling. Good wrestling, and that's what TNA presents most of the time with their knockouts. But one thing that I don't like about TNA with the knockouts, they contradict themselves. How on the same pay-per-view where you crown the first ever knockouts champions, you can have a match for your number one knockouts championship with a man in the match competing for that? That's like a contradiction. So if your division is so serious, but you have a man competing for your championship, that's not speaking too well for you. Another thing that I like about TNA, Taz on the broadcasting team. When he replaced Don West, that automatically increased the quality of impacts a lot. that increased the quality of the shows drastically. Even if they didn't change anything with the storylines or anything, I didn't like Don West at all, so I'm glad that Taz finally replaced him. The final thing that I'm going to talk about, TNA has made changes in their creative team. Jeff Jarrett, he's off the creative team. Vince Russo is in total and complete control. He has his people under him, but basically they have to report to him. I've been liking some of the impacts with Vince Russo in complete control, like the whole Riot episode. I like that, and yeah, maybe I'm hearing that Vince Russo, he wants to change his tone. You know, he's saying that he wants to push the young guys like AJ Styles and Hernandez and Matt Morgan to the main event. Hell fucking no. The fans have been saying that for the longest time, but maybe he's finally latching on and changing his whole tone now that he actually has to compete for a job, now that his buddy Jeff Jarrett is on the outs in the company. So yeah, that's my video. Hopefully you guys engage, and peace.